For over 20 years, he served North Korea's most powerful institutions, the State Planning Committee. The defense industrial sector, a man the system trusted completely. Then, in 6 words spoken at a factory ceremony, he watched a vice premier with a similar career vanish from the room forever. Not arrested, not charged, simply declared not suited for his current position and erased. Today, he's in South Korea, still learning what it means to exist without someone watching. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us bring these untold stories to light. Together, we can be a voice for those who cannot speak.
Now, the story begins. Your support helps share the truth about North Korea.
The first time I stood in that courtyard, white smoke was rising from the factory chimneys. It was a completion ceremony. A major military-industrial machinery plant months in the making had finally opened its doors. For me, dispatched from the central office to inspect the site. It felt like any other work trip. At least, that's what I thought at the time. Red banners covered every wall. A military band was playing march music. The floors had been scrubbed spotless. The machines ran without a wisp of black smoke. On the surface, it looked like a celebration. But something was off. Nobody was smiling. Usually when inspectors visit, the mood loosens up. Local officials share cigarettes, offer food, make small talk. That was the unspoken custom. Not that day. Every senior official on the floor wore the same expression, jaw set, eyes forward. Not the face of a celebration. The face of a man waiting for a verdict. I leaned toward the colleague standing next to me. Why does everyone look like they're at a funeral? He answered in 2 words. The marshal is coming. That was enough. I'd spent over 20 years inside this system. Started at the State Planning Committee, moved into the defense industrial sector in my early 40s. When you've been around long enough, you learn to read the air. You don't need to be told. When Jong-un attends a completion ceremony, it doesn't matter how much was accomplished. Praise doesn't cancel out punishment. Someone always walks away without a title. That was the lesson I'd learned with my own body. I slowed my pace as I moved into the building. Stay toward the back. Don't stand out. Old survival instinct. What I didn't know, yet what none of us knew, was that someone in that room was about to disappear. When the marshal arrived, the room stopped breathing. His security detail came in first, followed by a column of black-coated aides. Officials bowed in unison. The deeper the bow, the more frightened the man. The speech began the way they always do. The significance of the plant's completion. The sacrifice of the Korean People's Army. The resolve of the party. I was writing it all down. But my ears were somewhere else, waiting for the moment the real message arrived. It came faster than I expected. The tone shifted before the praise was even finished. Chronic irresponsibility. His voice dropped. Careerism. The shoulders of the front row visibly tightened. A culture of laziness and corruption. My pen stopped moving. It just hung there in the air. This wasn't an outburst. Outbursts are loud, uneven, disorganized. This was controlled. Every word deliberate. This had been prepared. Someone had already filed a report. He hadn't come to investigate. He'd come to deliver a conclusion. Over 60 violations were identified at this site. 60. A site might have 1 or 2 problems, design flaws, material defects, schedule delays. That's normal. But 60? That's not failure. That's rot. People below saw the problems and said nothing. People above knew and reported nothing. And it had been piling up for years. Then he said the name of the vice premier, overseeing the machine building industry. You know the moment before a summer downpour, when the air changes? No wind yet, no movement, but something shifts, and every living thing feels it at the same instant. That's what happened. A man not suited for his current position. 6 words. I understood their weight immediately. When someone is being reprimanded, when there's still a chance the language sounds different. Reflect and recommit. Redouble your efforts. We expect better. Those phrases carry a future tense. They imply tomorrow is still possible. Not suited for his current position carries no tomorrow. That was a verdict. Hundreds of people were watching. But this wasn't about removing one man. Every person standing in that room was the intended audience. This can happen to any of you. Every face pointed straight ahead. Eyes open, seeing nothing. But inside those faces, I knew exactly what was running through everyone's mind. He didn't say my name. And right behind that relief, But what about next time? By the time the speech ended, the vice premier's spot was empty. I never saw him leave. I don't know if he walked out or was taken. One person had simply been erased. The march music never stopped. After the dismissal, the marshal added one final sentence. I am not treating this as anti-party. Anti-party. If that label gets attached to you, everything changes. Not just your life, your family's, your children's, for generations. So hearing those words without that label attached, it could have sounded like mercy. But something about it wouldn't leave me alone. Dismissed but not for anti-party behavior. What does that mean? No crime, but no further use either. That was the quietest and most brutal verdict. This system knows how to hand down. If you're labeled anti-party, at least you know why. Even if it's unjust, there's a reason. But no longer useful leaves you nothing. No explanation, no appeal, no path back. You're just gone, as if you were never there. That night, I couldn't sleep. Am I still useful? How long before I'm not? I had watched a man with more than 20 years of loyal service get erased in 6 words in front of hundreds of people. The image wouldn't leave the dark behind my eyes. For the first time in my life, the thought surfaced with complete clarity. Something is deeply wrong here. After that day, the atmosphere changed everywhere, every site, every department. Before, when problems surfaced, people's first instinct was to bury them. After that ceremony, everyone scrambled to be the one who found the problem. Not to admit fault, to be seen as the one who caught it. That was the new survival logic. And everyone had absorbed it without being told. One man cut down, 1,000 set in motion. I changed too. I'd find problems in the field and write something different in my reports. I could feel the professional conscience I'd built over 2 decades quietly crumbling. Know and pretend not to know. See and pretend not to see. Think and pretend not to think. That cycle started grinding me down from the inside. One night, an old friend told me there was a way south. I waved him off at first. But walking home, my feet felt heavy. I had seen with my own eyes that capability offers no guarantee. That loyalty can be stripped away in a single moment. So what exactly was I holding on for? I couldn't find the answer. A few months later, I crossed the Tumen River. The water was colder than I'd imagined. The dark was deeper. Every time my foot slipped, my heart stopped. I was alone. No family to look back at. No idea what was on the other side. I only knew I had to get across. The day I finally set foot on South Korean soil, I stood in silence for a long time. The moment my feet touched the airport floor, my legs gave out. The tears didn't come right away. I'd held everything in so long, that part of me had gone numb. An immigration officer looked at me and said, "You've been through a lot." Something inside me collapsed. That was the first time I cried. The first thing that stunned me in South Korea was a grocery store. Rice, stacked in towers. Ramen, tofu, sesame oil just sitting there, open, uncounted. No line, no ration vouchers. I picked up a block of tofu and stood there holding it. In the north, that was something you might find once a year during the holidays. But the strangest thing wasn't the food. It was that nobody was watching me. Wherever I went, whatever I said, whoever I met, nobody wrote it down. Nobody followed me home. That freedom was so unfamiliar, I became more careful, not less. Habit runs that deep. I still miss the people I left behind. I don't know when they'll be able to breathe freely. For now, being alive on this soil is all I have to offer.